Extreme weather is basically the kind of far ends of the spectrum of weather. So in 2022 in the UK we reached 40 degrees in the summer, which was basically unheard of. And we've also seen a lot of extreme flooding events which comes from extreme rainfall. And these kind of events are expected to get worse and are probably already getting worse with climate change. When we want to understand our atmosphere or our ocean, we can turn to models. So that could be a computer simulation, or it could be a physical model.
Models are a virtual representation of the world. They allow us to project what's actually going to happen in the future, and they really let us understand the climate system and the world much better. The key thing that you need as a scientist is curiosity. My day-to-day tends to be a case of trying to understand what is going on in these models and trying to improve them so that we can better predict the future.
We've got this really complicated world. You know, we've got an atmosphere, we've got oceans, we've got waves, they're all interacting together. I'm a weather researcher, so I do science research for weather models. I started work looking at space weather to try to understand different atmospheres on other planets. Put different models together and allow them to talk to each other, so try to really represent, you know, what is there in reality.
Extreme weather events have huge impacts on us as people and as a wider society. So in flooding events, we can lose our houses, we can lose our businesses, and if that's going to get worse with climate change, then these are things we really need to think about adapting to.
Climate adaptation it means that people make plans now, and in the future that means they're resilient to any climate impacts that may happen. So, for example, if we know that flooding or drought is going to be worse in the future, people are making plans now so that those impacts aren't as big. Climate adaptation in the UK is focused a lot around flooding. A big flood defence is the Thames Barrier in London. It basically ensures that London is safe from flooding up until a certain point. My role is trying to understand how people are coping and adapting to different weather events, and I specifically look at Southern Africa. Extreme weather events look different across the world, so in Southern Africa specifically, things like droughts, tropical cyclones, flooding are having a really large impact on society. In Malawi, I spoke with rural communities to understand how they cope with food insecurity, so understanding what actions they're doing at a local level so that they have enough food for themselves and their family. Or maybe talking to people who work in government to see what plans they're making for the future. The big goal with the research that I do is to make a big difference and ensure that people are adapting to climate change, they have enough food, they're able to go to school. So working in sustainable development or adaptation in Southern Africa and in the UK, I hope makes a difference.
What I love about doing research is that I can ask any question I want and then I can just go ahead and try to answer it. I imagine it's what it's like to be a rock star. That feeling of like, yes, I've done it, I've answered a question I think it's quite incomparable really to a lot of other jobs. I get to do a lot of public outreach and I get to talk to people on the street about what my research means for them, and I find that very rewarding because it makes me feel like I'm having an impact, I guess.
If you want to make a difference in the world in the face of climate change, science is a fantastic thing to study. I was actually the first person in my family to have a university degree. I picked a degree which let me go on a bunch of trips because that's pretty fun. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Because they were kind of mandatory, they had to pay for it. The really good thing about uni, rather than say going straight into a job, is that it allows you to see different things. So in your first year, you'll be kind of shown a whole lot of different kind of topics within a subject. And that actually really helped me pick what I wanted to do afterwards. I wasn't very good at maths at school at all. I really hated the subject actually. But going into science, I started to actually realize the applications of it.
You don't have to be a scientist because you've studied science. It opens that door, but it also opens many other doors as well.
Industries like finance, insurance, they're all kind of interested in people who have sciencey backgrounds. I think if you have a science background, you can probably get a job in any field. You can have any career path that you want.